has been given to them simply by standing next to the patriarchy. It's just like what Matt was saying. In America, the moment you're born, you're hit with indoctrination. You live in the greatest country on earth. You live in the freest country on earth. You live with more liberty than everybody. We're the greatest country ever. You never have to earn it. The discomfort that most people would feel having to earn all of this freedom that we have, some people would crack, some people would stand up to it, and some people would rise to the occasion. It is the exact same thing. There are far too many white women who see this going on, but they're like, it ain't affecting me. I'm good. I can go wherever I want. They will not take into consideration that the fights other women are having. We still have a problem with murdered and missing indigenous women. We still have a problem with black women still facing discrimination in work areas, in their hair, their color, their skin, the things that they bring to the table. We still have Hispanic women who are coming across the border, their mothers, their grandmothers, their daughters, and they're coming over to a border system and a way to lock these people up that is inhumane, not to just any human, but especially to women. But if you are a white woman that sits up and goes, well, I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about it. I'm good. That is the problem. You will not bring down the patriarchy as you got 1,000 women. You got 1,000 women standing in front of you. Black, brown, indigenous, and white women. And 250 of those white women are working against the other 750 women. You will always end up finding yourself behind. I said it a couple of days ago in a video, and I meant every single word of it. This was always about white women. Our media gears towards white women. The SCOTUS, whether they say it or not, they are gearing this whole thing about Roe v. Wade towards white women. And it only seems like, and not all of them, not all white women, because there's a whole lot of white women they've known this for years and they have been fighting against it. But then you have some white women who were standing around going, who, me? Yeah, you, Karen, you, Becky, this is about you. If you do not stand up to your husband who's a part of this system, if you don't stand up to your fathers and your grandfathers who have taught you this system, if you do not stand up to the conditioning that you've been given as a white woman, you are always going to continually find yourself in this situation. That's my problem. But go ahead.
Oh, you just hit it, man. Like you literally said it. So like when we consider the United States of America and we think about the worst things that are achieved in this country, right? We've mentioned the patriarchy, right? We've mentioned racism. We know what drives this. Who is at the front line of that fight? Who is also harmed by this to some degree? And who has to be complicit in it to maintain it? It is white women. If white women wanted to, they could change this because, again, they're at the front line of that fight. You just said it, right? If they were serious about having these conversations with their husbands, with their fathers, with their grandfathers, with their uncles, like it has to come from within the home. Like it has to come from the people who are around you. And look, man, I'm just a pale skinned dude, but like so take it for what it is. Maybe I don't but it's like, come on, man. It's not. Look, man, we've built a system that's catered for people who look like me, and we gotta be the ones who are willing to take it apart. Then it shouldn't be left to the people being harmed by it.
And that's the other part of this that I have. There, along with apathy, because again, there's always that apathy. Along with that apathy comes discomfort. There's a whole lot of people. There's a whole lot of white women that do not want that discomfort. There's a whole lot of white men. When a guy talks about the patriarchy, you have a guy fighting against that. You got to sit in that uncomfortability. You have to sit in it. You got to realize that you're a dude. You benefited from it. Go ahead, Victoria.
And I am very, anti-patriarchy, but the problem is these boys don't understand women's bodies. In Ohio, they made a law that doctors must try to reimplant ectopic pregnancies in the woman. And I, as a nurse who has worked in the OR, we used to do many of these. It is impossible. But we are letting these poli-sci and sociology and law people who have no understanding of science make laws, and that's my issue.
Not to mention the fact, and I'm just going to say it because I know a whole lot of people are thinking it, you realize that just because they got rid of abortion in your state does not mean that our politicians aren't going to be able to get abortions for their mistresses. No. Think about it. Scott DeJarlais is a sitting congressman. He was outed as having gotten his mistress an abortion, or 2 or 3 or whatever. The powerful still going to do it. The powerful is still going to do it. It just means that your little behind ain't going to be able to do it. But go ahead, Victoria.
All right, Matt, how old are you?
29.
29. So little Matt here goes to the urologist and he says, "Hey, dude, I want a vasectomy." And the guy's like, "Well, do you have any kids?" "Nope, don't want any." "Okay, how's next week?" If I go in and I have already talked to her about this because she started so young, but I am planning to get my daughter the same device I have, which stops periods and is birth control. And I'm going to tell the doctor, because he said she cannot do it till she is 14. And if he gives me any pushback, I'm going to go off. See, even at 51, in perimenopause or whatever, because I have an IUD, I do not bleed. But I can tell you, like now I'm having night sweats. So sometimes I make content about menopause. Like, if you've been through it, do you have this question? Somebody asked me the other day, when do you get your desire back? These kinds of things. But even at my age, if I went in and said, I want a complete hysterectomy, I just want it out of me, I want to be done, pushback. Because I might meet some beautiful 29-year-old and run off into the sunset who has never had kids, right? Or a 39-year-old. And the doctor is going to say, and you might want to have a kid. Hell no, I don't. And I'm done. I'm going to shut up now.
Because to this point, misogyny and sexism, as you know, I don't have to tell you, drives so much of what this country's about. Like, people think like, oh, like women have always had rights. Nah, bro. 1970s, like women couldn't even get their own credit card without a man signing, right? Like Title IX wasn't a thing till into the 70s. Like you couldn't get your own bank accounts like until it's like, what are you talking about, dude? we've just started to reach this point as a society, right? Like women have only had the right to vote for 100 years. So like, if you think these things disappear, same way we're talking about racism, if you think these things disappear, they don't disappear. They just try to find new ways to implement it. Like, ugly people don't change. Like, they don't change. And last thing I'll concede here. In 2016, amongst white female voters, 47% went to Trump, 45% for Clinton. That number went up in 2020. 53% went for Trump.
Meaning they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. And to that end, that is exactly why you see so many Black, brown, and indigenous women backing up, not slowly, they are simply backing up, and they're saying, get your people. Get your people. Because for some reason, the idea of the stakes not being as high as they think does not occur to some of these women. They think it could never happen to them. The rules do not apply to them. This is not their fight. Unfortunately, it is. And sadly, they learned this week that it is their fight. And now they got to do something about it. All right, so we have reached The top of the hour. This is the Villain's View. My name is Thomas Bishop. I am known as the Villain. We have Joker, we have Victoria X, and we have our special guest, Matt from Mute the Media. We were talking about abortion, the SCOTUS, and the path forward. So let's change gears here. So, we already know that the next step is coming. This whole Roe v. Wade thing has been in the works for a while, and this past May, they dropped it. They dropped the leak, and everybody freaked out, but we already knew it was coming. So, now I want to switch gears to what can we do about it? What can we do about it? Now, everybody understands that voting matters. You gotta vote. You gotta vote. You gotta vote. You gotta vote. Great. Okay. But I want to focus on who and why. That's what I want to focus on. So I'll put it out to all of you. We know the midterms are coming. Before this SCOTUS decision, the Democratic Party was going to get shellacked. They were a 15-year-old kid in his first day in the gym, and their opponent was Brock Lesnar. They were going to get shellacked. They had no answer to the CRT. They had no answer to the trans kids. They had no answer to any of this. None of it. They had no answers whatsoever. They were getting ready to get shellacked. And then this came out. So now the Democrats are literally sitting in the driver's seat. Donald Trump even said this. Donald Trump himself even said he hoped this decision did not cost his party come November. So let's operate on that assumption that this decision might cost Republicans seats in the Senate and in the House this November. What, and I'll start with Matt. What exactly, you are leading the Democrats right now, you are talking to them. What exactly would you say to them today, after this decision, that would help them not get shellacked in November?
You need to truly become an opposition party. The end. Like, literally, it's that simple. Like, there's lots of things we can say, but there's too many establishment Dems who are not interested in being an opposition party to what Republicans are doing. And that's it, man. Like, straight up, I know like people want like some in-depth game plan, but we kind of laid out things that we need to be doing as a whole. And like, obviously you need to see it from your leadership. But the reality is there's a lot of people who don't identify with the Republican Party, who aren't even centrists or moderates, who don't identify the DNC because they see them way too complicit or just way too ineffective when it comes to being able to negate what Republicans are trying to do across all levels. And that's fair. That's literally fair, right? We can point to times where they could have implemented legislation that would have got Roe v. Wade protected at the federal level, right? We can point to examples of, like, there's so many examples of things they could have done with like deferred action for childhood arrivals and so on and so forth, where they didn't do what they needed to do when they had the numbers. And then of course it came back to bite them in the butt, right? And so I would say you need to weed out the mansions and the cinemas. You have to look at the mistake you made in 2016 with Bernie Sanders versus Clinton and how that probably at least played a role in losing the election. There's a lot of things that go into that, but who was polling the best against Clinton out of all the candidates in 2016?
It was always Bernie.
Against Trump.
It was Bernie.
Yeah.
It was always Bernie. And I will say this much. There's a whole lot of people that say that Bernie's too old. So here's my thing, and this is just me. Then find a younger one. Oh, Bernie Sanders is too old. His ideas are fine. If you do not like the forum, because I refuse to vote for the Republicans, and John Cornyn just made that perfectly clear to me. Oh, you want to take back Brown v. Board of Education? I never want to hear another Republican tell me the Democrats are the party of KKK. John Cornyn said this to our former president. Shut up. Don't ever tell me one thing about how the Republican Party is the party of Lincoln and they freed the... John Cornyn basically said, hey, can we go back to segregation now, please? So I don't want to hear that. But here's the Democrats' problem. The gift horse is there. All you have to do is, just like Matt said, run in opposition of the Republicans. But I'm going to tell you where they're going to fumble. I'm going to tell you. And y'all can see it coming. They got to reach out to those rural white people. They got to. They got to. They're about to go all through the heartland. Dude,
what did... Clinton ran the worst campaign in history. She literally bypassed the Rust Belt. She's like, yeah, I'm going to get it. I don't need to go there. And Trump campaigned there hard. You know who was there too? Bernie was there.
Yes. I remember when Bernie came to Kansas City. I didn't get a chance to see him because I was in Fort Riley. But Bernie came to Kansas City. And it wasn't no, he rented out the Madison. And no, Bernie was at like some little small place where he was out there talking populist ideas to people who wanted to hear it. But we got it. We're going to the heartland. Y'all already know. We're going to the heart. Let's go to that one diner in Iowa. And let's talk to that white couple. Go ahead, Jeffrey. Go ahead.
Look. I remember exactly through that whole entire campaign before, they screwed Bernie over and gave Hillary the nomination in the DNC, correct? Mm-hmm. You remember watching like his campaign and every place that he went to, the size and the amount of people he was getting at his speeches and his thing compared to her, where she was getting a very small, minimal amount. But it was what was the DNC going to do? They can't have a progressive like Bernie Sanders running as that candidate for them because he is too progressive and he is looking to do things that the DNC did not want them to do.
Mm-hmm. Which is why they have to be a true opposition party. They care more about maintaining their establishment status next to Republicans than conceding space to progressives, Soc Dems, socialists. They care more about that. They would rather lose. That's the DNC. Here's a really sick truth. And I could be wrong about this, but I think there's a lot of things I can point to support this. In my opinion, the DNC showed us in 2015, 2016, they would rather lose to Donald Trump than concede space to progressives.
It's the DNC has been walking this route for a while now.
It's all about money.
Of course. But see, that's the thing. And I will go back to Bill Clinton. Now, in hindsight, Bill Clinton was a great new Democrat. He was the first of his kind, but he was horrible for everybody else. He was horrible. An entire generation of black and brown men and women are just now getting out into our society because of that man. A whole lot of mothers were unable to raise their children. Fathers were unable to raise their children because of Bill Clinton. But Bill Clinton ushered in the new Democratic mentality, which is basically we're going to be as ugly as the Republicans. We're going to be as money hungry as the Republicans. However, we're not going to use the N-word when we are standing in front of black people, and we're not going to use the F-word when we're standing in front of gays. That is it. And every single Democrat after that has followed that blueprint. So when 2016,
recently,
yes. So 2016
recently with some of the nominations that you've seen inside the House.
Exactly.
Representatives now.
Here's a name.
Yes.
Here's a name. Why not back a Stacey? And obviously it depends on what people individually want to do. Like when I think of someone, I think of Stacey Abrams is someone I would love to see make a run at the national level. Especially because, dude, like what she did in Georgia is incredible.
Phenomenal.
Yes. I have always been partial to Henry Wallace. For those of you who don't know who Henry Wallace is, Henry Wallace was Franklin Delano Roosevelt's vice president for his either his second or third term. Henry Wallace was the epitome of progressivism. The epitome. And had Henry Wallace, go ahead, Victoria.
So I remember a while back, some senator, they were talking about, with the pandemic and human capital. Do y'all remember that?
Yep.
But what I would say to white Republican women, this affects generations from now. And like you said earlier, we've been discussing this at least for our lifetimes because it's always been there, right? And I've always been like, everybody should choose their own path, right? To these Republican women who think that satellites overhead stole the votes, ladies, please wake the F up, okay? Stop drinking the Kool-Aid. Ivermectin isn't going to cure COVID. JFK Jr. is not coming back, and I am not making fun of these people. I am dead damn serious. What the hell is wrong with your cult? How do you break people out of this cult mentality?
You don't.
Yeah, you don't.
Here's the problem.
They're
I
gone.
mean, we've seen this in history. So like what I'm trying to do with the media is a few things. One of the things I try to operate as is a right to left pipeline, right? Because I think a lot of times in life, you see in others what you either were at one point or are in the moment, right? And so, like I said, I've talked about my conservative background. I was a registered Republican when I first could register to vote, right? So I see things over there that remind me of my past self, and I want to try and pull people out from that, right? And I think I could be effective at that sometimes because I know the way they think at times. The problem is it goes deeper than like COVID or stuff like this. We are combating fascism real time. So the problem is so it goes back to, this is an important point, Bernie. The reason populism sold so well from Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump is because this entire country, doesn't matter what demographic you're in, feels the direction it's going in, right? So many people are living paycheck to paycheck. So many people are feeling the pinch now. So many people are feeling that the American dream is a myth or it's broken if it ever was a thing, right? I mean, that's a matter of debate, but I think it was a myth. They're feeling
it never
right,
existed.
exactly. Never did, right? But for people who believed in it once, they feel it's broken now, right? And so the reality is everyone feels this. And that's why that message was so successful. And so while everyone feels this pinch, you have a fear of what's to come. And when there's a fear of what's to come, it makes it really easy to other certain groups, demonize them and galvanize that fear into a hatred and action against them, right? And so we saw it post World War I with Germany, and then the impact of the Depression only added to it, right? Who got demonized in fascist circles then within Italy, within Germany, within the United States of America, within these big countries? It was people of Jewish descent, right? It was undesirables. It was the marginalized within those communities, right? And it's happening right now. Make no mistake about it. The rhetoric being utilized towards the LGBTQ plus community, the dog whistles towards Black, Indigenous, people of color, like it's the same exact thing. It is the same exact rhetoric, right? They're protecting the kids. We have to protect our culture, right? We have to go back to America first. It's the same exact playbook. These things don't go away. They just come in circles. And that's a really difficult thing to combat when they've tapped into your fear.
But that's the thing. If you give them nothing else to balance it out, of course they're going to fall into their fear. I have a death fear of cobras, but I've only been in a room with one of them, and that was at a zoo. I have a death fear of cobras, but I've only been in a room with one of them, and that was in a zoo. It was contained. I saw it in a glass. It was asleep. So if it did move, I didn't have to worry about it. The Democratic Party will not give these people anything that looks even remotely like an alternative. And the problem with not giving an alternative to something is that you allow the people to live in that fear. So, of course, it's easy to say, they're coming for your kids. They're coming for your guns. They're coming for your Bibles. But at the same time, you cannot fight a battle with a person using their tactics. They already know them. And the problem I've always had, and this goes back to Bill Clinton and his new Democratic policy. As much as I respect the fact that Barack Obama was the first African-American president, he was a new Democrat. He was a centrist Democrat. I knew it when I saw him, and I even told the wife he's a centrist. Joe Biden is a new Democrat acolyte, period. Sorry, he is. Kamala Harris, new Democratic acolyte. So you look at somebody like Bernie Sanders. The reason Bernie Sanders and the squad of AOC, Cori Bush, Akeem Tlaib, the reason they stand out is because they are literally giving you an option. They're saying to you, here is fascism. These people are going to tell you what you're going to lose. These people are going to tell you what we're coming for. These people are going to tell you that we are the bad, baby-killing, gun-humping, or gun-taking people. We are not. They are working on your fears. The reason Bernie is so effective is because he tells people what you're fearing is not true. But we don't have, the Democrats cannot do it.
I disagree, actually. I think Bernie tells you what you're fearing is true, but he places it in the right channels. So instead of utilizing like bigotry and the things that the Republicans will utilize, so to your point, what you're fearing is not correct to that point, because you're fearing things. When you think's driving, it's not right? It's not CRT, all the talking points, stuff like that. But Bernie validates the fears, but points to something else. It's the corporations. It's the politicians who take money from lobbyists and things like that. Right? It's these people here. It's the elites who are out of touch with society. That's why his populism sells, because there's an aspect of that. There's no doubt about it. True. And when you can validate someone's fears, but point it in the right direction, they might be receptive to that, right? So I think the problem that you'll have with an AOC and some of them, part of it's not their fault. They don't look right. You know what I'm saying? You all know what I'm saying there.
Yep.
The problem. So that's going to always be a massive deterrence, because for a large segment of this population, if it's not white, it's not American, right? So I'll expand on that, man. So someone people talk about a lot is Ron Paul. And I remember a big eye-opener for me was I saw a meme that he shared, and it was Uncle Sam, right, holding up the American flag, and everything opposed to him was like a caricature of all the different like races, and then the communist flag. I was like, that's interesting. So It's all darker skinned people holding the communist flag, attacking America, with white Uncle Sam holding the flag. It's like, if that's not a meme that captures the mind of so many people on the right, I don't know what is, right? And so
how many times, and it's like, think about it, how many times in several elections that we've heard over just, give it the past 4 years. How many times over the past 4 years in elections have you heard that black women saved us? How many times? Stacey Abrams, the black women that in Alabama that said, you know what, Roy Moore, guess what? We just don't want you. How many times has that happened? Yet, when we think that the Democrats have learned that, here you have this untapped, huge demographic that continues to pull your fat out of the fire, we got to go right back to going after the people who have... You want to reach your hand out to a group of people who are armed with machetes, and they keep chopping off your fingers year after year, election after election. They keep telling you to your face they will not vote for you. But we got to reach across. Whop. Oh, did you need that hand? Sorry. And that's what, to me, that's what Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema represent. Do y'all remember when we didn't know what companies were giving money to our politicians? Does anybody besides me remember that? Where we didn't know that our politicians had all this campaign money? Well, now we do. And it's just normal. And in every election, the Democrats will tell us, this is the most important election of your life. This is the most important election of your life. Only to, what? Keep reaching out to the same people? When you have black women, when you have Latino women, you have women in general on the ground fighting for progressive ideas. You ain't got to like the AOC and the squad, but it's true. Go ahead, Jeffrey.
Speaking of AOC, because I follow her on Twitter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at a tweet that she literally just did 8 hours ago. It says, and if you are a lawmaker who in the time between the leak and the ruling spent more manpower on fundraising plan than a policy response, then I highly recommend rethinking your priorities. Our job right now is to protect people. Doing so will drive the vote more than browbeating.
Exactly. And here's the other thing. This Roe v. Wade overturning was a pipe dream for Republicans. They didn't think it would happen, but they worked at it. They worked at it. So now they have achieved their dream. They have achieved it. What else
do we do to change it?
What not just what do we do to change it, but what else do they have left?
But not just that, but that's actually a scary question. So how much manpower, time, energy, and resources went into this? Where is that all going to shift to now?
Exactly.
That is scary. And again, when you have a party, I'm gonna use a quick analogy. There's one of my favorite comic books is a comic book called Empire, and it's about how a dictator by the name of Golgoth takes over the world. And in one scene, Golgoth, one of his new lieutenants, is working with one of his right hands, and they're building a bridge across the river to take out this little nest of insurgents. They're doing it in broad daylight. They're doing it with all these big old earth movers and stuff. And the right hand says, why are we building this bridge while they can see it? And they gave the guy a whole day to figure it out. So Golgoth at the end of it comes in and he says, we're doing it because we want to show them we're coming and there's nothing they can do about it. We are building it in their faces to show them the futility of trying to stand up to us, because by the time this bridge ends, so shall they. The Republicans are literally telling the Democrats to their face, we are building this. We are coming after every single progressive thing you can think of. There's nothing you can do to stop it. But there actually is. There actually is. Victoria, you got something to say?
I just don't want us to become like 1942 Germany. And it feels like, at some point, and if they want white babies so much, I mean, you know what they did in Germany. They made people breed with each other to get these Aryan babies. Is that what they're going to do to us? I mean, like, when does it end? Like, how much do we have to lose before we wake up and say, that's a bad idea. We need to fix this. Like, at what point?
But that's the thing. You have to have a party that is willing to say that out loud.
Yeah. Well, earlier we were talking about Jane Elliott, and she goes through how you can't pay people to have kids, right? Because then you have to pay everyone, right? And you can't bump up immigration numbers because it's not just Europeans coming here, right? When you're considering the birth dearth and how white conservatives try to maintain this thing. And so she comes to the conclusion that, okay, well, they come to the conclusion it's abortion, right? And to his point, the number was 60%, like 61% or something back then. That's changed, obviously, in the last 20, 30 years, right? It's dropped as this now disproportionately impacts women of color, right? So the problem is, I don't think in the United States of America, you can get away with doing what they did in the 1940s anymore. Like, there's just too much media coverage, just too much going on. And even pretty, apathetic, non-caring conservatives don't want that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's disconnect in Germany, for example, there's a lot of people who want to strip Jewish people of their rights, but they didn't want to be violent towards them, right? I'm just talking like the average population, right? But what people fail to recognize is when you strip people of their rights, you have opened the pathway of state violence towards them, right? So it's okay for me to take away your rights because I think you're less than, but I don't want to commit violence towards you, right? It's like, yeah, but you're doing it through your actions in terms of the policy. And so the problem is the Democratic Party is complicit in this, right? So you're talking about earlier gerrymandering and how like they try to make it harder for people to vote and things like that. Well, the New Democrat supports cops. The New Democrat supports funding police. The New Democrat supports the criminal justice system, which targets their most important saving grace, like voting blocks. So that's the problem. Yes. And you can only get away with that so long. Thomas, go ahead, man.
But again, this is that New Democrat mentality. To take a stand against the police who are killing people. To take a stand. Oh, we might piss off a pretty important demographic. But where's your line in the sand? Where is your line in the sand? That is a simple thing. The 1,000 cop mentality. 999 good cops, one bad cop, but the other 999 don't say anything. You got 1,000 bad cops. You can say that. What's stopping you as a Democrat from saying that? This idea that you need the backing of the police. This idea that to say corporate taxes are entirely too low and they need to be raised, that's somehow bad? How is it that but that's the New Democratic mentality. And as long as they keep this is Bill Clinton's playbook. I'm sorry. Since he got into office in 92, it is what, 2022? 30 years. 30 years of the same playbook.
What sold for Reagan? What was one of the predominant messages that sold for Reagan in terms of like election viability? It was law and order, right? The war on drugs, which means we need to get more money towards cops, things like that. Democrats at first thought about opposing that message, but like, oh, we're getting wiped in elections. We have to adopt this too. It's what people want. That law and order thing sells. What do you think Trump was doing in the aftermath of George Floyd? What was his predominant message?
Law and order.
Law and order, right? And it actually hurt him a little bit because things are changing to some degree. So Democrats would be wise, I think, to acknowledge that. And I think they got to get smarter about how they message that. Like, look, man, I'm in the abolish camp. But I think we have to concede the messaging. You always have to look at public opinion, and you can't have pride. So you got to be strategic. So even if that's what I want, if that message isn't selling, I have to find a way to reword the message to get people to buy it.
Reallocate police funding.
Marketing. Yeah.
Reallocate police funding. I've been saying this. Go ahead, Victoria.
I forgot what I was going to say.
I'm sorry. I'm in rant mode. I feel like I'm taking up a lot of time. So,
I'll just come back to me. I'm sorry.
Can I ask you as a question then? Do you know what the sixth leading cause is of black men ages 20 to 35?
The leading cause
of death, pardon me. The sixth leading cause of death for black men ages 20 to 35.
Police.
It's the police. Study from Michigan University.
Yep.
So you can't be pro-cop if you want to continue to get votes from people on the left and you want to get votes from marginalized people. You just can't be.
I remember what I was going to say.
Okay.
So Matt, like, a couple of us are old. I graduated high school in 1989 in the era of Reagan. And I loved him. I didn't know why I was Republican, but damn it, I'm Republican, right? Young and dumb. But interestingly enough, my retired military father worked on Reagan's inauguration. He had a bottle of champagne from that. And now he's passed away, but he loved Trump. Now, he never got to see him run for office or, because he died in 2012, but he loved him. My ex-husband does. My ex-husband was fully illegal when I asked him out on a date. His visa had expired. Okay. He loves Trump too. I just don't get it.
But that's the thing. I will always go back to when you have no substance, you go for flash. I have said this several times. The Republican playbook for running for anything, dog catcher, police, whatever, is this: a pickup truck, some country music, a cowboy hat, a gun, a Bible, and some towhead kids. You mix it. If you can put those individually, boom, you have Heartland America. Hi, my name is Average White Guy, and these are my children. This is Average Jr. and my little daughter, Averina. This is my beautiful wife. We believe in family values here. Vote for me. I'll take aim at keeping your Second Amendment rights right where you are. And in showing you, I'll blow away something. Here I have with this large weapon. You notice my cowboy hat and my pickup truck? I'm just like you. And here we believe in Christianity. You do that enough, it doesn't matter what comes out your mouth afterwards. Trump tried it. He tried it. And it did not fit because people in New York knew how bad Trump was. I have not liked that man since 1989. Central Park exonerated 5. I haven't liked that man, never will like him. But he tried it. The whole 2 Corinthians thing, that's the ball game. Of course it's the ball game. Because you're at Liberty University. You have the head, what is his name? God dog it. The former head of Liberty University, Jerry Falwell Jr., is endorsing you. And my second favorite book is The Art of the Deal, but my favorite book is the Bible. That man ain't opened up that Bible, and he hasn't. You know how I know? Is because he literally turned around and held it upside down during a protest. But when you do things like that, that's your marketing. That is your marketing. All right, so this is the part of the show where we like to do rapid fire. All right, so Victoria, please hit our guest, Matt, up with some rapid fire questions.
Hello, Matt. Hello, darling. You are a beautiful man. What is up with the hair?
What is up with the hair?
Yeah, I know you get a lot, but rocking it, babe.
Literally this morning at my soccer game, I had a lady at the other team. She came up. She goes, "What do you do with your hair? Like, do you like? Can I like talk about product and stuff?" Like, I was like, "No, you can't." I wake up, I use my 2-in-1, I shake it out, and that's it.
All right, are you dating?
Not currently.
Who's in your CD player, or what music is potted up on? Like, what music channel is?
Chevelle.
Dude, you were I thought Rage Against the Machine. I'm sorry. Every time I see you, I think Zach De La Roach, and I'm like, if this man is not listening to Rage Against the Machine, I'm wrong. I was like, he looks like the person that you look like the sort of person.
No.
Go ahead.
I absolutely knew he was gonna say Chevelle because 3 nights ago he was in my live and we were talking about music. And this man said Chevelle because I was asking people to give me something, and I was like, no, not Chevelle.
On the topic of music, real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt. Can we just all acknowledge? Can we just all, like, everyone take a seat and let's just be honest with ourselves? The Beatles are the most overrated sound to ever hit the planet. They are not a good band. They are not good. Their music amounts to just like sound terrorism. They're not good.
Being better is just bad.
Well, anything can be better than like the Beatles.
Oh,
like,
I'm so glad he said that. I'm so glad he said that. Since we're gonna do music knowledge, go ahead. Oh,
cereal.
Strawberry mini wheats. Oh no, oops berries. Oops berries.
Oh, we're doing oops berries. All berries up in here. I know.
Does pineapple go on pizza?
No, pineapple goes on nothing. But if you want to do it, go for it.
Yo, son, pineapple. Okay.
You better not say pineapple goes on pizza, Thomas.
I have eaten pineapple pizza. I have eaten pineapple on chicken pizza. I've eaten pineapple.
We no longer can be family.
Yeah. Okay.
Dude,
whatever, dude.
Let's be all right. Let's all okay. Can we just talk about the pineapple on pizza debate? Look, man, I don't like pineapple. So, but you put whatever you want on your pizza. It's all good. Like, if you like pineapple, put it on your pizza. It's your pizza. Like, you do you. Enjoy yourself, man. Pizza's a time to enjoy, and it's time to tap into your soul. Like, it's not a time to worry about the opinions of others.
So you have a large following. What is something that your following doesn't know about you? What's one thing you haven't shared?
Oh, damn. That's a good one. Let me think about this. What's something my followers don't? That my favorite group in 1997 was NSYNC.
How embarrassing!
Wow.
I was 5 years old.
that you know what? I'm gonna let that live. I'm gonna let that live because when I was younger, I'm gonna just be honest. When I was younger, it was New Kids on the Block, New Edition, and Menudo. New Kids on the Block, New Edition, and Menudo. Now, I always thought New Edition and Menudo doing it like they do verses now, that would have been fantastic. Then New Kids on the Block showed up. And I remember white kids going, that's our New Edition. I'm like, y'all are out, y'all rabbit. Come on. You not about to put Right Stuff next to Can You Stand the Rain. Sorry. There, I said it. Sorry. New Edition would wash New Kids on the Block, and they know it. New Kids on the Block know this. They would wash them.
It's a factual statement.
They wash it like good underwear in the laundry.
Okay.
Wash. Can you stand the rain? Okay, man, I got one.
My first favorite song ever was "A Kiss from a Rose," though, from Seal. That's like the first song I remember ever liking.
Yeah, I went to the theater to see Batman Forever, and I heard that song.
I love Seal. I love him.
Look, You ever see that Being Human song? We're being human, dance me down, where he had the faces changing. See, look, I'm gonna tell y'all, Seal is he's my spirit person. I'm not gonna call him spirit because of Native and Indigenous people, but I'm gonna tell you what, Seal, that man, that's what you call boxing out of your weight class. That man pulled Heidi Klum. That's what you call boxing out of your weight class. Seal pulled Heidi Klum. I'm like,
what song? I'm gonna look it up right now.
What is it? Human Being? Yeah, Human Beings. It's a great song. It's a great song, but the video is wild. Everybody says that Michael Jackson was doing the face changing thing. I think that was Seal. I think it might have been Seal. And there was some, I was actually going to sing a lyric because I was coming home last night. I told you I went to see Top Gun, Maverick, and Jurassic World. We need to just talk about this right quick. And I'm gonna hurt some people's feelings. Tom Cruise with his shirt off and Miles Teller with his shirt off. Stop. Tom, put your shirt back on. Tom, put your shirt back on. There's a scene where
you hurt my feelings.
Look, there's a scene where there's the ubiquitous, all the Top Gun people are shirtless on the beach and they're greased up because there's a lot of baby oil there. And you got Miles Teller, you got a bunch of other young actors, and they're rippling. They got Miles Teller has ripples in his nipples, straight up. I'm not playing. And then you got Tom Cruise with his shirt off around them. And Miles Teller's like 6'2", 6'3". Tom Cruise is all of 5'8", 5'9". And here he is with his shirt off. Him with his shirt off like me with my shirt off. And he got all this young, hot, just hot meat. And he's sitting there. I'm like, Tom, put your clothes back on, bruh. What are you doing? But it was a great film. It was a military-industrial complex love affair. I ain't going to say what it really was. But it was a great film. It really was a great film. And then I watched Jurassic World, and no. That gets the ubiquitous tin can of ass. I'm sorry. That was a 10-packer right there. That was not. It was 3 different films. None of them were good, and they were all at the same time. It was not a good film. It just wasn't.
What's your next question, Victoria?
Go ahead, Victoria.
I don't know. What do you want to? What is there? Do you two have questions?
I got one. Matt. You are of Pakistan. Is it Pakistani or
half Iranian?
Half Iranian. How do you feel about America and Iran now? Just curiosity.
Not good. Like, so some of my anger comes from U.S. foreign policy and what was done to Iran. Like the CIA-backed coup that took down the Mossadegh government, which was really pushing for like a true democracy, constitutional reform and things like that. CIA-backed coup placed the Shah back in power. And then the U.S. stood by as the Shah fell and gave way to the regime under the Ayatollah in the 1979 Islamic Revolution. And that's the regime that targeted my father, his friends. They killed 30,000 people in 1988 alone in a 3-month span that were political dissidents. And even now, like, they try to play ball with them, try and get them to come to the diplomatic table. When I'm like, I don't want you to talk to these people. I don't want you to get involved. I want you to stay out and let the Iranian people do what they have to do. And change our own government. But when that a lot of anger comes from just how the U.S. thinks it knows so much and they don't know jack diddly. Like, I've been lucky enough to work with groups that are trying to change things over there. And I've had conversations with like Congress people or their staff members and things like that. And people don't know. They literally don't know. Like, they just have no clue what they're talking about. And I don't know that much, man. Like, I try to learn as much as I can, but I don't know so much as an Iranian American. But people here have no clue.
You would be, people would be surprised. There are pictures of Afghanistan, pictures of Iraq, pictures of Iran in the 60s and 70s. Women with the big flowing hair. And ain't nobody rocking bell bottoms like people in the Middle East in the 60s, 50s and 60s. Nobody. When you talk about bell bottoms in America, they had bells. Them the hems on them pants legs was like parachute bells, and they had the flowing hair and the if you could think of a top from the 60s and 70s, they had it. And I was like, this was Afghanistan? The women are in college, and they've got the platform shoes with the big hair, and the guys with the big. I was like, yo, I have to, Go ahead, Jeffrey, because I know you slapping your face for something. Why are you muted? What the heck? Okay, all right. Everybody want to mute.
Favorite what?
Hobby.
I mean, I love sports. I love just one of my favorite things is to get home, chill on the porch, and can I say that? Grab the, you know what I'm saying? Like, do my thing on the porch. Like, I haven't done it in like 3.5 months though, and I like miss it. I'm not gonna lie, I miss it a lot. I think about it a lot. It was a great love affair we had for like 6 years.
Yes.
But yeah, I love sports, man. Like I've really enjoyed coaching lately. It's a second job, but I consider it a hobby. Like I love basketball, I love soccer, I love just being on the pitch, being on the court and hooping. It gives you time like away from the stress of life. You just get lost in it. You don't think about life.
So how do you feel about Golden State winning the championship?
Yeah, okay.
So like, I mean, all right, like, so I'm in Sacramento. So like growing up, the Kings were pretty good, really good actually. So I was like a Kings fan, but like I'm also, no doubt about it, a LeBron fan. Like I'm a LeBron mercenary is what I call myself. So like wherever the King goes, I will go. You know,
Or you're
like,
a bandwagon fan.
and so yeah, if that's what people want to call it, I call it a true devotion though. And so like so I could be pretty objective. I know hoops, but like the really sick part of me is like, how does this impact LeBron's legacy? I'm like, oh no, Steph Curry's got 4. So like,
he said, how does it affect LeBron's legacy?
bro, it's like, ask my friends, it's gross. Like you can tell how I think about something like when it's hoops, because like everything comes to two evaluations. Like, what do I actually think about it? And then how is this going to impact LeBron? And I can always find a way to connect the two. But man, the Warriors are so good. Like, I don't like the Warriors. Like, I don't like them, but they're so good. Like, as an organization, Steph's changed the game.
You can't knock. You can't. Nobody can hate Steph Curry.
No.
Nobody can hate Steph Curry. I mean, he's a good dude.
What's your favorite guilty pleasure?
Ooh.
Favorite guilty pleasure? The first thing that came to mind was soda. Like, honestly, it was soda. Like,
Yeah, mine is big roasted marshmallows on my glass top stove.
but here's why it's a guilty pleasure. Like, obviously, like I could come up with something better because like I'm trying so good not to like drink like soda, like because like I was so good for a long time and I've just been binging on Coke lately. Like that sounds weird out of context, but like, I've just been on Coca-Cola so hard lately, and I'm like getting close to 30. So like the weight, you know, like I'm pretty fit still, but it's like I'm starting like, yo, that didn't happen like that before, and so I'm like the soda's like in my head right now. I got to cut it out, dude. Go back to my all water diet, bro.
Bucket list, something you want to do.
First thing that came to mind was going back to Iran. So I can't go there because of the regime. But my biggest dream is that me and my dad get to go back because the regime's fallen and we can go back to Mashhad, his home city.
They have some very beautiful women in Iran. I'm not going to front. They have some really, really beautiful women in Iran. I'm marked, but again, that's just me. I'm weird that way. They have beautiful women. I studied Iran a little bit because I was a kid when the Ayatollah took over and they had the hostages for 441 days, I think. And Reagan went backdoor to Jimmy Carter and it was like, don't release him till the day I get out and get in the office. So Jimmy Carter had stayed up literally all night and almost missed the inauguration of Ronald Reagan because he was negotiating with him. And then they released him, and it was like, they did it because they were afraid of Reagan. Wasn't nobody afraid of Reagan. Wasn't nobody afraid of Reagan. I'm sorry. Him and his constant need to eat jelly beans. You know, if you think about some of the presidents, we've had some weird. Victoria, you remember the LBJ one? What do you say about LBJ?
I don't know.
You never heard the story about how LBJ would routinely go to the bathroom with his staff following him, and he would take a dump? He would.
Wait. Like he like wanted people there?
Like he would tell people to follow him, male and female staffers. He would go to the bathroom and literally take a dump while he was telling them notes, and you'd hear him farting and whatever while his staff was in there taking notes.
I don't even think couples should do that. I don't think you go in the bathroom when you're part.
Look, man, I don't care. Do whatever you want, I guess, whatever your level of comfortability is. But like for me, like the bathroom, that's like the one place where no one can touch me. Like it's like this is pure peace. It's just me and the porcelain god. There's nothing else here. Like it's beautiful. And it's like, oh, I love the bathroom. It's a beautiful place. No one's in there.
TikTok are you on? Like like just hear me out. So like sometimes you go down the rabbit hole and you get on bread talk and you see Hannah, the girl that slaps the bread. I'm on like butter talk and some weird things. But what weird thing does the algorithm show you?
That's all politics, man. It's all leftist politics. Yeah. It's like I don't use TikTok that much actually. For me, it's like business almost, man. I get up there, I do what I want to do, and I get off the app typically. But what pops up is usually just it's politics, man. Political takes. Lately, it's been more on the more with like in regards to like the indigenous community and the trans community, which I think is a good thing for me personally because those are like areas I could always learn way more about, especially like issues pertaining to the trans community. I'm pretty ignorant, like I always say. So it's really good for me to hear those perspectives. But yes, nothing like that. It's pretty political, man, like 99% of the time. Maybe a cat now and then.
Yeah, I think TikTok has... The people on TikTok have actually started to create their own little families, little fiefdoms and families and stuff. Mama Tot, who everybody knows and loves, 7 million followers. Her son was recently killed the day before his 19th birthday. And I saw TikTokers from across the spectrum duetting her video to make sure that the word got out so that we could try to find the person who killed Mama Tot's son. There have been GoFundMes. There have been people who are going through surgeries, and everybody. It's funny how if you stay on TikTok long enough, so somebody, you might not know this person, but their videos being replayed and duetted and stitched and stuff like that to the point where people are actually helping them out. That is one of the beauties of TikTok. One of the downfalls of it is there's so many trolls, just people that their content simply is, I'm going to mess with other people.
Some of these people have followers that will go after people and like, here's the assignment because they disagree with me, and you take your 700K and you post that to go after this person to get them mass reported and banned. I mean, like, okay, let's talk about that patriot that's kind of not straight, that's on his 29th
Oh my God, can I just interrupt real quick?
Go ahead.
I'm
Please
sorry.
Go ahead.
That drives me insane. Okay, you'll notice something. I respond to comments all the time, and I'll go hard in the paint all the time. You know what I don't do? I don't stitch conservatives and send them traffic or try to give them clout or try to help them build their platform. I get stitched, and Thomas, I know you get it even more. I get stitched by so many conservatives who are seeking a response, because when you can get a big leftist creator or a big liberal creator, anyone who's not conservative, to stitch you, when you reply to them, it's ratings gold for them on TikTok. It's what gets them views. And we all decided as a collective, let's all respond to this misfit patriot guy and just blow him up. I don't get why we even give him the time of day.
Because if we don't, and this is something that I've kind of made my modus operandi. If you give a troll an inch, and they will eventually come back. The problem is people like Misfit Patriot, who is Zach Bolafino, I think that's his name, whatever the heck. Bonifilio, out of Texas, who is a constant troll. But if he comes after you, you have to fight back. One of the ideas behind being a villain is I have the ability to be able to go after anybody I want. I don't care, because it was never when I look today and it's like, oh, you hit 700,000 followers. Well, I wasn't there for that in the first place. But we live in
It's nice that people agree with you and align.
I
and
love
you
it.
know you're not. I mean, and of course, in that big following, you have people like Howard Stern had people. They're there to just hate and just say, look what he said. Look what he said. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They've been trying to mass report me for the past, I don't know, week or
But
so.
you can sing anytime.
I could, but that's the thing.
La la la. Come on, do it for me. I need to be pepped up,
What?
Thomas. You know what kind of day.
I know. What do you want me to sing? Like, seriously, I can't sing.
Baby, sing anything. What
Oh,
what do you sing good?
This is one of the.
You can give me a lullaby.
I'm not gonna give you a lullaby. I don't even give my daughter a lullaby. What is that all about? But one of the things about TikTok is you have to be able to stand for something. I know I know TikTok is ran on trends and people dancing and things like that, but you know, I'm not here for that, and I don't think anybody else. I mean, it's great if that's what you're there for. Yeah, great. Yay, I'm gonna dance.
You know the frolicking thing, the black guys frolicking.
Yes.
I freaking loved that.
Yes, and then
and it kind of took off, and then like a white woman or somebody do, and then it's just like, you know what?
That's where it messed up.
TikTok provides an amazing opportunity to organize, though, if we utilize it correctly.
It does, but that's the problem. A lot of people with a larger platform, even with a small platform, you can have 1,000 followers, you can have 500 followers, but what do you stand for? You know what I mean? Like, I got banned from Twitter for what I believe to be a good reason, and I will probably never be back on Twitter again, and I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. But I got banned for standing up to Candace Owens. My thing is always going to be stand for something or fall for anything. Even if you're doing trends, you know you weren't the first person to start it. So recognize the person that did start it and give them their flowers. Stand for something or fall for anything. With me, it just simply has come down to the point of I challenge bullies. I don't like them. I never like bullies. So, and I don't ask anybody to get mass reported. I don't send the followers, go get them. I don't do any of that. It happens to me, but I don't do it to anybody else. But that's because I stand for something. You know, I like singing. You know, we have open arms
I guess for me, it's like, because I'm the same as that, bro. Like, I like to bully bullies. I enjoy it. I'm not gonna lie to you. So like when Trapped was coming at me, I was like, let's get it. Like, let's go.
Can you get into that, please? Can you please? Dude, you had a guy at a concert he was like, I don't see you here. Please tell me, how did y'all get we got 7 minutes. Tell me how you got into it with Trapped.
All this started. So to your point, I'm bitter sometimes, but I lost my first account at 92K. And what got me was they mass reported me because that was around last 4th of July. And I was talking about burning the American flag, which I did last 4th of July. That was my 4th of July tradition. I burnt the American flag. Because that's my First Amendment free speech right. Texas Johnson, 1989. And so on my backup account, I go really hard in the paint. And I just was like, MAGA, y'all are my enemies with some colorful language. You can keep mass reporting me. I'll keep popping up. I don't care. I see you guys. And so you can imagine conservative TikTok lost their minds. I mean, like, dude, it got stitched like thousands of times. Like, it went crazy. And he comments saying, let's go anytime. And at first I'm like, my 10-year-old self's like, that's not that group I listened to in the summer of 2002, is it? And so I click on it and I'm like, oh my God, it is. And I was like, looking at his videos, like, this guy is insane. And I was like, this guy is literally crazy. And then I started to get mad because I hate, like, you know, when you're at the bar or you're like playing hoops or something and some guy wants to like get in your face or talk, which is cool. Let's get it. And he's like, let's go outside. I'm gonna drop my stuff and start to walk outside. Because like that's just, you don't just say that, you know, if you want to throw hands, you want to throw hands. You're not just throwing it out there. It's not words. And so when you say let's go anytime, I'm like, sweet. So I respond. I'm like, awesome, let's do it. We can do this old school. I can cut you up, or we can. I don't mean with like a knife or so, just no glove or nothing.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I'm gonna cut you up with the knuckles, or we can go for charity, right? You seem like you got a big platform. We can put it towards something good. And then he responds saying, no, man, you want to go with me, you can show up to a show. So I was like, dope. So I looked up his show list. I didn't know they were still going for shows. I guess they're doing a dive bar tour. And so I looked up where they're at. I was like, oh, you're going to be in Roseville, which is like 10 minutes from me on June 19th. I was like, sweet, bought my ticket. And I was like, look, man, bought my ticket. I'll see you then. Then he responds saying, if you show up, I'll hit you with a lawsuit. I was like, that's cool. Still going to see you then. And then he like was leaving comments in his videos and stuff being like, oh, if he shows up, I'm going to bust his nose up. I'm going to pull his hair out, pull his beard off, all these things. And I was like, that's great, bro. I'm going to see you then. Keep that same energy. And so then I show up on the 19th. My friend run AWS, and he recorded the whole thing for the most part. So we even had like the audio with like the dude who runs the place. I show up and I'm in my Mute the Media shirt. And so like we give him my ticket, they scan it on the phone, and I give him my ID. As I'm walking in, runs ahead of me, somebody goes, whoa, you're the Mute the Media guy, bro. I can't let you in. And then a guy talked to you outside. And so I go to talk to him outside. He was super chill about it and stuff. But then I was like, what? So I started walking around, and I found their tour bus. And then, like, once they realized I was still around the building, they posted security up next to the tour bus. They knew I was there. Like, he could say whatever he wants, but he knew I was there. So if he was about it, he could have stepped out at any point in time. And so I'm, like, walking around the tour bus. I'm on live. I'm like, here's the tour bus. And then, like, and here's how I know they know, because every time I, like, walk, because it's like a bridge to the left of it, I'd walk towards the bridge. Someone would either go in or out the tour bus. So they were waiting until I was, like, about 150 feet away until there'd be, like, movement there. And there's a security guard always posted up once they knew I was on scene. And he's just right. And even after the show, he's like, he didn't show up. And he's like, oh, he did show up, but if he really wanted to, he could have got there later, and blah, blah, blah. So long story short, to your point, nah, man, that guy wants to run his mouth and act like something. So it's like, let's find out. Like, let's get it. I'm down.
I can't stand that dude. All right, so we are 4 minutes away from the end of the show. It has been a very, very, very fantastic show with a very, very, very fantastic guest. So, final thoughts from our guest, Matt from Mute the Media. Go ahead.
Just want to first say thank you for having me. It was a really cool experience, and you guys are a good group. I always enjoy hanging out with you guys. But final thoughts are, there's a lot of righteous anger in this country right now. Don't let it fade away. Don't let it go away with the next news cycle. Maintain it, channel it into something productive. Aim it at your legislators, aim it at your politicians, aim it at the people hitting you with the trolls, right? We're talking about those trolls. There's more of us than them. So maintain that rage, because I think rage drives people into good action if it's channeled properly. Avoid the apathy. That's all I got, man.
All right. Miss Victoria, go right ahead.
I guess my final thought would be what people want to do with their bodies, what they want to do with their relationships. Mm-hmm. If they want to change, I suddenly don't feel like a woman anymore. And I want to change to be a man, or I choose to have a same-sex, polyamorous. Ask yourself how it affects you. I respect your right to believe in Christ and God and the Bible. At the same token, you have to give me the same right to understand I don't buy into the BS. We've got to come together in a collective, because love, and I will say it, love always wins. But the way things have been since 2016, I'm just going to leave on this note. Please check your mental health.
All right. Jeffrey, a.k.a. Mr. Joker, final thoughts.
Matt said it best, and he also said it best in a TikTok he did earlier today about the anti-voting rhetoric that we keep hearing from a lot of the leftists, is that it's not just about the voting. It is about voting in a bare minimum, like the minimal part that we can do. There's so many other things that we can do, and how aggressive we can go at it, because one party is not being as aggressive, but look what the party that is being aggressive is doing. So if we want to do all of these things that we need to do, protest, boycott, strike, we still need to vote too. And those who are anti-voting really need to change their outlook on that, because doing all those other things isn't going to help the situation unless we also vote this out, period. And that's the way that I look at it. And, you know, I'm like multiple videos I've seen today of that. And I'm just, it's stop talking about not voting. Stop pushing the anti-voting legislation. Get out and vote. We've got to do something about this, because if we don't, we're living in a fascist state, period.
All right. And here are my final thoughts. I said it in a video last week before last. There is a progressive majority in this country. There are progressive majority people who believe in the Second Amendment and stricter background checks. There are progressive majority people that believe in a woman's right to choose and in the sanctity of life, and they are willing to let one be the choice of a woman, and their rights, their faith guides them to do what they do. We are part of that progressive majority. Do not let the loud minority in this country tell you otherwise. Just because they have bullhorns and just because they have pulpits does not make them the majority. They are not. They are not. This is your democracy, ladies and gentlemen. If you want it to remain yours, you must shake off the apathy, shake off the need to just simply do nothing. Get up and fight for it. It belongs to you. The bullies of history will always die. The true heart of this country is a heart that believes in the collective over the individual, the rights of all versus the rights of one, and they believe that this country can be better than what we have presented to the rest of the world. You are part of that progressive majority. Act like it. For Joker,
Thank
Victoria.
you for being.
Oh, thank you, Matt. Man, brother, thank you so much. Really, this has been fantastic.
Man.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate you coming through.
I look forward to seeing you later on at my live, bro.
So, for Mr. Matt, a.k.a. Mute the Media, Miss Victoria, Mr. Joker, and myself, my name is Thomas Bishop. I am the villain. This has been one thrilling episode of The Villain's View. Thank you so much for attending. Thank you so much for watching. We will be off next week, but we will see you the week after next with more surprises and more guests. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you later on.